Electric cars are already on the market, but how prevalent are they in New Jersey? I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me this hour is New Jersey State Assemblyman Chivukula of the 17th Legislative District. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jill.
Let's talk a little bit about electric cars and electric cars actually breaking into the market. When it comes to an electric car, you can be driving one out on the roadway, but what happens when you run out of electricity, when you don't have it charged anymore? Are there charging stations even available? Is that part of the problem?
Yeah, that's one of the problems. First problem is that education. People don't realize that average commute is 30 miles and the average electric car can give you about 100 miles per charge. And so you can, we do have different types of chargers. So one charger that you can do it at home, at night while you're sleeping, the car is charging, a car battery is charging, that you can use it. So that way you can, next day you can drive. I think one of the ways people, in order to increase the confidence of the people and comfort level, we need to create an infrastructure for the electric vehicle charging. And of course, different manufacturers, whether it's a Nissan, whether it's the Chevy, BMW, they have different standards. We're trying to bring one standard so that way where you have the gas stations or service stations on the turnpike and parkways, you can provide charging stations that will increase the comfort level of the people.
So when it comes to actually having this infrastructure in place, you're looking for uniformity, because when we pull up to a service station, regardless of our type of vehicle, we know that we can get gasoline in that vehicle, but there's a concern with electric vehicles that that charger won't necessarily fit into our vehicle.
That's correct. Yeah, more than 100 years ago, we didn't have the gas stations like this, but we have that. But the infrastructure has evolved over a period of time. What we need to think about is that how do you create that? How do you raise the level of comfort of the people? And I think that's the key. And that's the key education part. And we had some number of legislation trying to create charging stations along the highways, especially the turnpike. And of course, it is going to come at a cost. And right now, New Jersey is going through serious fiscal situation. It is going to. That's why we need to involve the private sector, like utilities, and try to form the public-private partnerships and provide some incentives so that way we can create these charging stations.
So what then do you envision as this public-private role in terms of creating these charging stations throughout the state of New Jersey? Because when we think of gasoline as a fuel, we think of private companies involved.
Right. Like right now, utility companies, they are private, other than some municipal holding companies. And if you give the incentives for the utilities to, their business is to sell electricity. And if we can establish that infrastructure and then they can recoup those costs for setting up those charging stations, I'm sure we can engage the utilities and other private companies.
Is this a case of if you build it, they will come? Will people start to buy more electric cars if the infrastructure is in place?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that is holding back people is the lack of infrastructure. If why wouldn't you buy? For example, it only costs you 2 cents to drive, a mile, whereas if you what happens is that in a gasoline, it costs about 12 cents per mile. So there is a big cost differential out there. And the second thing is also it's very few moving parts. You don't have to do oil changes. Only oil you need is for the lubrication of the gears mechanism in the cars. And so when you have fewer moving parts, that means the maintenance costs are going to be lower. So there are a lot of things that are working for the electric vehicles. What is lacking is that lack of infrastructure.
And we just have a few seconds left. You mentioned a variety of pieces of legislation you're working on at this point.
Right. Majority Leader Joe Cryan and many of my colleagues in the Assembly came up with a number of legislations, but it requires working with the shopping malls, working with the utilities, and try to create the infrastructure.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
We've been talking with New Jersey State Assemblyman Chivukula. I'm Jill Horner.